Hey everybody, this is Grace. In this video, I'm going to talk about some things that I've been thinking about lately. Now, I have made videos about, what's going on with me, and I moved them to another channel because I kept basically repeating myself because I was making them for other channels. And anyway, more than one. So I took some that I had on here and put on that one. But anyway, this one, I want to talk about something that's been on my mind since all this, and more than one thing, really. I've been going through a lot of memories, but I was going through this before I went to the hospital and had that CT done, and it came up with that adrenal, let me see if I pronounce it correct, adrenal myelolipoma. And that was also diagnosed in the year 2000 and 2004, but they never told me that diagnosed, that I remember. They just said an anomaly on the adrenal gland. I always thought there were two glands, but this time they said I have it on both sides, though. Anyway, when all that, but even before then, I've been going through, it's something that people go through, actually. Some tend to, around this age. But just thinking a lot about my past and, why it turned out this way or that way and everything. But this makes a lot of sense. But, well, boy, my goodness. Okay, wake up here. One of the things, I've been thinking about a lot of things, and then one of them is this about, it's very difficult to explain. It is very difficult. I've tried to, prepare it in my mind, to say it, but there's just no real way of explaining it the right way. Okay? That wouldn't make sense. But basically, I try to sum it up as it could be like being in denial, yet all at the same time being very aware. Okay? But being in denial and maybe having to be aware. But basically, I'm going to start here. I've said this before, when I was in kindergarten, I attended a private school. It was boys and girls, and it was, private. And one of the things that happened was that made me realize that I was a bit different than the other kids. It wasn't just me, it was another girl. It's when where we went to private school, they had the building for the classroom, the classroom. I think they only had one, maybe two, I don't know. This is a long time ago for me. But the restrooms, I do remember, were set aside. They weren't even attached to that building. We had to walk out and go to the buildings, I don't know where the boys was, but the girls, as kids do, you wait in line and it's your turn kind of thing. And I remember the stalls, I don't think they had doors on them. And I remember I didn't like that because, I would wear a one-piece suit or something, a little jumper, I think they called them. And I just didn't want other girls to see me. I was already ashamed of my body. Okay, that young. But while we're standing in line, me and this other girl, say we're both in kindergarten, and we're standing there, and I remember something vaguely remember us looking at one another, and then looking at all the other kids, all the girls standing in line, and I remember feeling like we both got it. We were both much taller than the other girls. Okay. Now, she and I were, most of the kids there, they grew up together, and they went all the way through high school together. And she and I did. We were. She was really tall. She was a bit taller than I, even. And very lean. I think they called it back then bean pole or something. She was on the basketball team and stuff like that. I wasn't. But I was tall, and I call myself now more like a gentle giant. You think of a giant. And so we were different body shape, but we were tall. And I think both of us really grew much faster than the other kids. I know I did. The reason this is on part of it on my mind right now is because I saw a picture of myself, and I'm thinking it was elementary school. But I just looked at it again, and, from a yearbook somebody had posted, and I look at the other kids and I couldn't tell, how old were we then. Some of them I don't even remember. But I think it was elementary school, and I was so different than the other ones. But like I said, it was me and one other girl. And I don't even remember her name, but anyway, so we were different. It was obvious. So I was aware that we were different. And I remember, I think it was in first grade, or somewhere around there, and they would have us go and go to the health, was it? The nurse's office, and then for whatever class as a kid, they would have us do that health thing for the president's health, something, I don't know. And they would weigh us and all that, and I remember I would always feel ashamed. So maybe it was second or third grade, something like this, because I had already experienced it before then. But I would worry because they would tell me that I was way too much. The thing was, I really did grow faster. I stopped. I stopped faster, too, of growing, seriously. But I just shot up there real fast. And, yeah. Okay. So, yeah, I knew I was different. I always knew I was different. There was that awareness, that even feeling ashamed, because what I was told was that I was this size because I ate too much. And I knew that I didn't. And that carried on through my life. I'm serious. I'm 58 years old. I knew that it wasn't that because I don't eat that much. Okay? And even people who knew me, who were around me, they said, some people that I've mentioned this, that they have no filter. They don't care what they say to people. Those scumbags. That's being polite. But, those types that you hear me talk about in so many videos, the ones that have these narcissistic histrionic blends, or they're just abusive, just toxic people. And, they would say things like, you eat like a bird, so why are you so big? You see? This kind of thing. There was a time when I can't say I've never been obese. There was one time when I was in my, I think, 20s. It was during the 1980s. I got really big. And I'm not suggesting this to anybody. I'm not a healthcare professional or provider. And from what I have understood since then, it was really bad, a negative thing to do. But I was in my 20s, and the doctor had told me, lose it or die kind of thing. I think that was it. And what I did was I quit drinking soda with anything with sugar. That's what I said. I quit drinking sugar. That's the way I would put it. And any things like any sodas, even like lemonade. I'm not a tea drinker. I'm not a coffee drinker either. So I just wouldn't drink anything that had sugar in it. And I lost 45 pounds in 45 days. Okay, like I said, bad. It's not a good, healthy thing. But I was obese. But I've always been just overweight. Okay, that was the one time in my life that I was obese. And like I've said in other videos, but this is a new one, that in the year 2000, when I had pancreatitis, they did a CT scan, and they found that I had this adrenal problem. And the endocrinologist, one of them, not the first one, she was like so angry. Like, it was bad. And when I finally saw an endocrinologist that I stayed with, I don't remember his name or anything, but he told me I would never lose the weight because of the adrenal disorder. Back then they did not, they tested me, and then I told them I did the test wrong. It was 24-hour kind of thing, and I think I moved or whatever. It just never, after that, doctors just didn't take it seriously enough. It was like I was a cliche. I was lying like some people do. Wouldn't even get the test results. But that started sometime after 2004, because I had it tested again in 2004. But anyway, so I've known, I'm going back here, I've known that I'm different. I think that sometimes I have said I'm my own best case study. Copyrighted. I am my own best case study for somebody who has this, because what it could be is extremely rare. Okay, what they've told me it's very rare for anybody to have this. So who else am I going to ever run across with it? One doctor said that I am the one case in their whole career they would see. That it averages out, like it goes like that. One case they would ever see. And I was thinking, I remember that was when I was younger, and I was thinking, great, call me a freak of nature. But it is. It's true. This is so rare that it is something kind of long. That's not a good way to put it, never to think that way. But it's just not the norm. And anyway, so being aware that I am different, okay? Not in a good way. Some people, like narcissistic people, they want to be thought of as unique and different and all this, but they want it to be in a good way. This is a bad way. And like the histrionics, this is my opinion, I could be wrong, but histrionic, they would love it because it would get them attention. Like I walk into a room, people look, okay? I'm not somebody that you would miss. And I mentioned this before in different videos. Next year will be 7 years I have had my original channel. And like I walk into a convenience store, you know how people are lined up and everything? Well, I'm towering over them. Okay, I can see over their heads. I can see over the, those, what are they called? Where they put the product, what is that called? I can't remember. That's another problem with this thing, it's memory, by the way. And, but I would see over the shelves, whatever they call those things. The ones that sit in the middle of the floor. The shelves. But anyway, so, I'm aware. I am aware that I'm different. But at the same time, like I said, this weird thing with the being aware, but at the same time denial, we all are in denial about some things. And if we weren't in denial about some things, we would be extremely depressed. This is how I learned it. Remember, I was a career student. Because things like we all go into some form of denial about what does life end in. Exactly. I don't know if I want to say that word on, with the AI. But we go into denial. We don't keep that in our forefront of our mind. We don't keep ourselves consciously aware of it. Well, that's how it is for me with my adrenal disorder. I have to be aware of it because I have to monitor my diet. And I'm hungry all the time. But I cannot eat all the time. And I cannot eat what I want to eat. Like if I go, I'm going to use this as an example. So, some people that go through a drive-thru, you're on a trip or whatever, or just you want some burger and fries. And you get some burger and fries and a soda. I can't have the soda, because it would have caffeine, even diet. I can't have it because that, I've heard. It set off I have type 2 diabetic, and I can't eat the buns because I can't eat bread. It spikes my glucose. But also, the past few years, I've noticed the bread will make me really get swollen in my midsection. And I can't eat the fries because, again, I'm diabetic. Now, I'm not saying this for all diabetics. It is for me. This is just about me. This is not about you. You see what I'm saying? I'm not a healthcare professional. This is what has worked for me, or has been for me. So here I am, basically just eating the meat and the vegetables they put on it. Okay? Like the onion, tomato, pickle, lettuce. And that's all I could have out of a meal. Other people, and I remember saying years ago, I'd say, I go into a grocery store and I look, and this has happened. I have done this, go in a grocery store and I just realized, most people, I would think, can go in there, I don't have any statistics, could go in there and they could buy whatever they wanted to eat. If they saw something good, I want to try that. Something new, a new product. I can't do that. I remember saying about 90% of this stuff I can't eat. And just the whole store. I was really exaggerating it. But anyway, that would sound like a little histrionic, huh? But that's something like I want to talk about, is this about the histrionic people. They would love to be like this. To have something that makes them so different than other people. It's not a good thing. They don't care, though. The ones I've run across, they don't care. Negative attention, positive attention, does not matter. They just want to be the center of attention, you know. And like I said earlier, you know, me, I don't want that attention. I don't. When I walk into a room, like I've said, and people just turn around and look at me, I don't want that. I just want to be normal. Okay, just like everybody else, you know. But that wasn't just all that was on my mind. This thing is bothering me. I'm going to take this off. I realize I keep making all that noise because I have my safety belt on. But when I was, I've mentioned this probably years ago though, but growing up, I grew up with a sibling that is mentally challenged. And that's the elder child that my parents had. And we all lived in the same house, you know. And I think that in a way, knowing somebody who is special in that way, you know, growing up with somebody and seeing what other, you know, the bottom feeders of this world, even starting as children, will say to somebody like that, like him. It was my brother. He ain't heavy. But, man, I'm telling you, the things I saw as a young child about how people treat people, probably why I went in to become a social and behavioral scientist, is seeing that. And, you know, some subconsciously, as people call it, yeah, just seeing what kids would do, what adults would say, and not so much adults. I don't think he had so much of a problem with adults. I don't know. That they just, you know, that scum. It's just people who are scum. I experienced it, you know, in my life. So, but growing up with somebody like that, even my bad siblings, it wasn't something like any of us really, you know, it's kind of like you just feel that you see them, everybody's human, you know, really, no matter what, everybody's human. And, but the scum of the earth, the ones I've seen in my life, no, they think that they are the only humans, and like I've said before, this whole dehumanizing thing. I didn't make that video public that I did after that doctor visit, I mean, over the phone. It was a telemed thing, and one of them felt dehumanized, but I went into more detail, and that is a feeling I've had much of my life. It just depends if they're scum or if they're mature adults. Okay, there's a difference. Big time difference. Okay, I am kind of wondering about something. See that bicycle over there? It's a little girl's bicycle. That's usually what they are. That style for a girl, and it's been sitting there since I have been here. No kid. I looked because I don't put kids in my videos. You know, other people's kids in my videos, so or try not to. Sometimes it might slip by and happen, but it's kind of weird because I don't know. But anyway, so where was I? Well, these are some of the thoughts, and I know it's kind of all over the place. It usually is. So, yeah, I do think that this is part. Now, if I sit down, you know, like and write a paper or something, and as a student, my papers were actually, even in graduate school, held up and said, "This is how you write a paper." You know, I was very. It would flow, not like anything like when I speak. You know, some people might think I should write it all that. I'm not going through all that. No, I was a career student. I got burnt out, and no. And I'm at the point, have been in the point in my life when I just want to be laid back and not. I used to call it was so rigid. And being a career student, teaching at college and university. It's so rigid, and I just had enough of that in my life. And plus, my health condition causes a lot of problems. And this whole video was to be talking to, or to lead up to, really talk more about this, that feeling of being aware, yet, like I said, kind of sort of in a denial. And I didn't get to this point, but with my brother, okay, we're all human. So the focus would not, even in my own mind, would not be about that I'm different, the physical part different. It would, I wouldn't really have a focus. I'm not sitting there focused on myself all the time. But I'm just human. The shell, to me, is just a shell. Okay? But I'm human. And I'm human. Like everybody else. So sometimes, whenever people would treat me, adults, they're scumbags, low bottom feeders, narcissistic, histrionic, shall I continue? I'm not diagnosing anybody, they're just downright low lives. But anyway, that type of person, it would be, again, like being in not constant, but often in shock, because how dare somebody treat an adult, treat another adult that way? Kids shouldn't do that to anybody either, of course. But it's like a shock, because I am human. You see? I have feelings, thoughts, all that, just like other people. Well, apparently maybe not like other people, because some people, they don't have some of them, like empathy. They don't, Anyway, you see where I'm going with that, but I mean, in some things, actually, in me, that's where I was going. I was going with this on that one part. Is I think that my body, people have debated this up and down, like people, that some people who have one thing that's not, often I'd heard it, like if a person was blind, they have better hearing. The body compensates for the lack of one. People debate that back and forth. I've heard it most of my life. I have wondered, really, if I'm not saying it to brag, because remember all the bad, that my high IQ, I have a genius IQ, if that was something that my body, the way my body is compensating for the rest. You see, and it's kept me alive. Sometimes I wonder what's good of this IQ, this genius IQ doing me. Well, I know whenever I say that, I kind of say, you got to remember, it's keeping me alive. Because I have run across some pretty stupid people, doctors, healthcare professionals, that don't, like I said, don't want to do this, don't want to do this, say this, won't listen, make assumptions. I don't think all doctors, I'm not saying all doctors, but I've had more than my fair share, and nobody should have one. Okay? It's arrogant and mean girl. The last one's mean girl. Well, the ones I saw recently, the world of difference lately, yeah. But much better, much better. But anyway, all over the place, as usual. Expect more like that, and to always be this way, probably. But in the whole thing, like I said, it's hard to describe. I am aware that I'm different, but also in a form of denial. But maybe it's not denial, it's not the right word. It's just I'm mature. Anyway. And I do want to say all that because I do want to talk about, more about one day also, when you grow up with somebody who is challenged, how it changes you. I want to go in deeper on that. That there are some people who are still bottom feeders, no matter what. But anyway, that's enough for now. Talk to you on another video. Oh, I did want to mention one thing. Yes, I don't think adults around my age, adults, should name call either. And I know that I call them bottom feeders and scumbags and stuff like that. And I think I'm going to continue to. I mean, really, when it comes down to it, they're just abusive people, plain and simple. People who pick on others for their differences. And, the name calling, I should stop. It's just right now. Yeah. I need to stop it. Anyway, you see what I'm saying. I'll talk to you on another video. Bye.